Welcome, U.S. Virgin Islands Chess. Happy New Year, everybody. I'm trying to improve the quality of my videos for everyone so that we can understand what's going on. Sorry it's been so complicated, guys. I'm going to try to teach better this year. And now that we have the online portal for our youth team on Live Chess, I think we're going to be very successful this year in what we do with our U.S. Virgin Islands expansion project and our chess careers. Okay? So I'd like to thank everyone for participating and watching this video from the FIDE Online arena. And let's get right into it, guys, okay? I'm going to do things a little differently, start instructing a little better now this year. Here we go. D4, G6, modern defense. My opponent had white pieces here in the FIDE arena. Online arena, that is. Okay, E4 now, so double pawns in the center. Pawn to E6 and E5. Now saying that I have a pawn center advantage, my opponent. And now knight to C6. So just starting development. Knight to F3, developing the queenside horse. And now D5. Okay, so guys, white can take here en passant, but that's not recommended by the engine. There's a better move, and bishop to B5 was not the best move, guys, in this position. The best move is just knight to C3. But instead, my opponent wanted to put early pressure on the horse in C6, and this gives black some counterplay now with bishop to D7 in this opening. Modern defense. Knight to C3, A6 now. A6 pawn attacking the light squared bishop. Bishop drops back to A4, and now B5. Okay, so this is pretty typical, just forcing that light squared bishop back to B3 square. A lot of people probably play this. And in this position, guys, with Bobby Fischer's bishop on B3 and black to move, I had a really long think here. And I considered the move knight from G to E7 just to start. But then I thought, you know what, I want to get more pressure on this queen side and not allow my opponent any sort of counterplay on the queen side. So I didn't play the most recommended move by the engine, but it's still a decent move. Putting the rook on that B8 square now, taking control of this B file. So next, my opponent castled in the short side. Okay, we see short castles there, guys. Short castles. A5 now, pushing the queenside majority pawn now. And after white moved their pawn forward, I just attacked the bishop one more time. And by doing that, white also allowed a space to drop the bishop back. Okay, so in this position, guys, without looking at the notation, maybe can we find the move now that I played with black? Correct, knight from G to E7. And this looks like pretty typical development now, except white has a really good move now in this position. That's why maybe G6 here in this variation was a little questionable. But yeah, bishop now comes up to that G5 square and now is pinning the knight to the queen. And it's safe to say that maybe H6 is like a decent move. The computer had some time to think. H6 is actually okay. At first, when I had a look at this position, guys, they didn't say that pawn to H6 attacking the bishop was okay, but now let's go for it. H6. And after bishop into F6 now, that's the thing about this position now is you really cannot avoid this. Never play F6 here, right? Because this is just a complete devastation now. There's a check here, and you're losing the queen, for example. King takes, bishop takes. It's just really, really poor example for black here. So never play F6, guys, in that position. So the best continuation was actually just bishop to G7, and play can continue. But instead I went for H6 in this game, and my opponent, that allows my opponent now to attack my kingside rook. So I swung that kingside rook all the way over to G8 square, one space, and now that makes bishop G7 possible now. Okay, so my opponent played queen to D3, and now this doesn't make quite as much sense for white on the queen side, guys. I just pushed B4 in this position, and now can we spot the move that white played? Okay, so white noticed that the knight was under attack. Guys, in this position, it was best to just maybe capture the pawn. The engine liked this before, but now if something after captures, sorry there, guys. Okay, so the best move in the position after this was just knight captures on A4, as it does. And yeah, this looks really good for white. So now after captures, you can actually recapture with a queen here. And then, yeah, I would definitely consider a move in this position, like like rook to a8 now, just pinning the knight to the queen. And then let's say white goes for something. I don't know, what could you play with white in this position, guys? Do we see a good move? Do we see anything? Is something like yeah, bishop b2 now, putting more protection here. Well, then if you play that, yeah, you can maybe move the queen over, get the queen in the game. I think white still looks like maybe he has a domineering position here over black. I think black looks very passive and underdeveloped, and I think white's in full control here. So in the game, we did not see captures. Instead, we saw knight to e2, and this allows black now to play bishop g7 and get rid of the dark squared bishops. But instead of getting rid of the dark squared bishops, my opponent dropped back to the h4 square. Now the bishop is there on the king side, g3 square. And now gaining a tempo with knight to f5 with an attack on that bishop that dropped back, as well as putting more pressure on the d4 pawn. My opponent played knight to d2. Needed to defend, and this allowed for knight a5. And knight a5 was a good move. And after queen to f3, is just sort of avoiding the attack. And now finally, in the previous line, b captures on a3, queen captures on a3, and now it's just a little too late. Now, guys, can we find the best move for black in this position? You find bishop f8 now, just attacking the queen, right? Queen is under attack. So queen has to find a safe square to go, and in this position, my opponent played queen to c3. Now, guys, take that bishop, right, and attack the queen, as it's backed up by the b8 rook. Right, the b8 rook controls that open b file, semi-open b file. Attacking the queen, queen moves again. So the queen has moved 3 times now as it's been under attack, and now it's about to move 4 times. But instead, my opponent found this move, c4, which is probably the best move in the position. And after my opponent played c4 here, guys, can you guess what I played? Right, pawn captures, d captures on c4, knight captures on c4, and bishop captures on c4. And this was actually the end of the game, guys. So my opponent had about 30 seconds left on the clock, and this was a rapid game. So again, pushing those pawns too far on the queen side for black was a mistake. Black should have focused more on castling. As we see in this position, black cannot castle. Notice how conducting black pieces, guys, in this game, I did not move my queen at all. She just sat on the d8 square and never moved, never developed. How could this game have continued for white? Well, let's take a look. How could white have continued in this game? Well, okay, bishop captures looks good, and knight captures is a good move. But is there another move, however, maybe that we could spot here before capturing? Okay, so the horse here is not recommended to capture the bishop on g3 square. You could play queen to d7. Queen to d7 is a good move. And then the good thing is that this knight now can never really go anywhere, right? Except maybe like c3 square in this position. So anyways, after maybe queen to d7, black could start off with something maybe like, yeah, not rook captures here, but maybe something like rook from a to d1. Now giving more coverage to the d4 pawn. And then maybe now finally just captures and queen captures. And yeah, so far I would say maybe even, maybe not. Again, black is still not recommended to capture here. It says the best move is just to drop back with the knight. But I think I'd favor white in this position. White was able to solidify in the center. Not that, guys. White was able to solidify in the center, and white was able to find enough counterplay on black's queenside wing attack. And I want to thank you all for watching. This was another FIDE Arena online game, not over the board, as is in the playlist. Thank you everyone for watching. Enjoyed it, got something out of it today. Take care. See everyone on the other side, and bye-bye for now.